Okay, welcome back to the Adventure Then channel. My name is Andrew Fritz. I'm a clairvoyant healer and meditation teacher. And in this video, I'd like to talk about judgment and neutrality. Everything in the universe is energy, and one of those energies would be judgment. And so we've all experienced this energy of judgment, whether people were judging us or we're judging other people or we're judging ourselves. At the end of the day, none of that feels good. And so, what is this energy of judgment? What does it really do? Basically, when you create a judgment against another person or thing or group of people, you're separating yourself from them. And you might just start off with it's basically acting as a barrier, a wall. And you, if you have a wall between you and someone, then you can't really, obviously, it's going to start affecting your interaction and communication and how you see them for 100%. That's going to affect the your connection with them. But sometimes you can start off with a kind of thin, small wall, or you can just continue to just create more judgments and just reinforce it. And it's a thicker wall, it's bigger, and it sometimes it can really shut down any kind of interaction or communication between you and that thing or person or group of people. And so I imagine if you're watching this video, you're probably spiritual. This YouTube channel is all about spirituality and meditation. And so, if you've been waking up spiritually, one of the big first things is that you start to realize and wake up that, oh, I'm not my physical body. I'm I'm a spiritual being and I have a body. I have a relationship with my body, but I'm not the body. And that's a big awakening. And that's a big shift. And that alleviates some of the fear of dying. Because it's, oh, I'm not my body, and my body's going to perish. And, okay, that's that's kind of nice to know. Um, and you keep walking your spiritual path and you keep waking up and you go deeper and you start to realize that we're all the same one spirit, right? Because you start to wake up and go, oh wait, I'm actually very much like source. And when you have that realization, you go, wait a second, oh my gosh, we're not separate at all, we're all one, the same one spirit. And so when you start to wake up to that, you start to go, okay, what is all this judgment about? This is not really serving anybody. And there's a lot of judgment in the world. And so when you get to that level, it can kind of seem, some people might not understand this, but it can kind of almost seem kind of comical what we're doing down here. That, we're judging each other, and you start to go, wait a second. When you make a judgment against someone else, you're starting to divide yourself and separate yourself from an aspect of source. And that's where it gets interesting. So then you start to go, okay, how do I get out of this whole judging other people and even just when people judge me, what do I do? And what I find like one helpful thing is getting neutral. And that's something that we teach in our basic meditation series called the Adventure Tool series, where you learn to center yourself in a certain way where you step out of the judgment, that you step out of resistance and effort. And it's really this calming, neutral space to be in, very peaceful, very tranquil. It's kind of like being in the eye of the hurricane. And I think I just watched some documentary. I can't remember what it was called, but it was about, in this case, it was about a tornado. And I think there was a small group of people, and they were like in the thick of it in this tornado. And there was like a brief amount of time where I think they were thinking initially that, oh, the tornado's over, but they were starting to realize that they were actually right in the center of it. And so they knew it was going to pick back up here shortly. But they had a moment where, kind of in the center of the tornado, where things were kind of, they had a breather, a break basically. It wasn't as chaotic. And eventually it did get chaotic because it picked back up. But it can be like that, the eye of the hurricane, where it's not, you're stepping out of that chaos. And this world can be chaotic, right? There's all sorts of dichotomies, there order and chaos for sure. So finding that space where you can really be neutral. It's like the stick shift or, manual car where you're not in a particular gear, like first, second, third, fourth, whatever. You're just right in the center. You're right in the neutral. And this is kind of what I'm referring to. And, some people have a big issue with neutrality, and I think it's just really misunderstood. Um, people get upset with this, and so people are not very neutral to the concept of neutrality. And that's kind of a comical, kind of interesting thing to kind of ponder and meditate about. So why? Why? Because if you think about it, I'm sure you've been around people that are judgmental, right? And it doesn't feel good, right? You tend to not either go into trying to defend yourself and argue with them, or you feel so shut down and, feel like you can't be yourself and you want to get away from them, or sometimes you can't because for different reasons. Maybe you gotta, you live with them or work with them or whatever it is. Um, we all handle judgment in different ways for sure. But but if you, I'm sure you've also been around people that are more neutral, where you feel like there is a sense of permission where you can really be yourself and maybe even open up even more, and it feels safe to do that. And oh, this feels great, finally, thank God. And so that person's more neutral. Neutrality is a quality of spirit, and a judgment's more of a quality of ego. Um, so I very much prefer to be neutral and prefer to be around people that are neutral as well. Um, and I don't expect perfection or anything like that, but and this is what I love about psychic readings, because as a clairvoyant, when I give readings, the goal is to be neutral, to just describe what I'm seeing. I'm seeing energy in different ways as color and symbols and mental image pictures, and I describe it, and I describe the energy, and then I move on. I'm not saying, "Hey, I'm looking at this, and God, it sucks and it's terrible, and what are you doing? You're making a wrong move here," and or anything like that, or trying to give them advice. And no, that's not really a clean reading. I'm trying to just paint the picture. Here's the energy, and let them kind of interpret it. And not projecting my stuff onto them. They're fully capable of, oh, okay, this is kind of what they're looking at, and this is in the part of their life that the reader's looking at, and here's the energy, and they can kind of connect some dots for themselves. And sometimes it's instantaneously where they're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that psychic reader's talking about. And other times it may take a little bit of time for it to sink in, and that's totally okay. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's times where I've, reading myself. Everybody has the ability to read themselves. And there's things where it's like it just clicks and it's just like, yep, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. At other times I'm like, I'm not really sure what this is. I'll just let it be though. And sometimes it makes sense later down the road. And sometimes it takes a long while for the light bulb to go off. But um, okay, so getting neutral. So the more neutral you are, you're stepping out of judgment, whether you're stepping out of judgment of yourself or another person or group of people or the world or whatever it is. And I think that's really empowering actually to be able to do that, because then you just let things be as they are. And because people have the issue with that, you know, you have to pick a side, you have to pick a stance. You can't just sit in the middle, because like in Buddhism, it's what the middle path or the middle way, or that's basically neutrality, right? And people demand that, hey, you need to pick a side because I've that person's picked a side, and they want to know, are you on my side? Are you on my team? Or are you on the other side, the wrong side? And are you my enemy? And and then you're going to get blasted because you're on the wrong side. They're going to judge you and then further separate themselves from you. And it's interesting. And so, and then, there's no way you can be neutral. That's bad. That's wrong. You'll get kind of mowed down just for deciding, okay, I'm stepping out of this. I'm going to be neutral. Um, and if you think about it, so remember we talked earlier about that, as you wake up, you realize you're not your physical body, your spirit, and you start to wake up more and start to realize that, oh, you're very much like source, like great spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. And you really realize, oh my gosh, we're all the same one spirit. And so you go, oh, okay, why do I have to take a stance? Why? why can't I be neutral? And that's the hard thing is when it gets to really controversial topics, people will go, hey, love and light, most of these people are all great, but over here, they are just the absolute worst. They're terrible. There's no way that you could actually see them as they are and accept them as they are or be neutral to that person or group of people or whatever it is. There's just no way. And that's a massive lie. And again, if you think back to it, say, I'm not a very political person. I usually don't even bring it up, but it's such a charged thing in the country. It has been for years, where the simple thing of Republicans and Democrats, that's a big one of which color, which team are you on? Is it blue or red? And if you again pulling it back from the spiritual perspective, you know, no one's truly a Republican or a Democrat. They just might have this attachment to an identity of, oh, I identify as a Democrat or identify as a Republican or whatever it is, but it's not truly who they are. Underneath all of that, and that's just one little valence, one little image that says who they are, but it's not really who they are. Underneath it all is that, oh, they're the same spirit as you, regardless of what side they're on, Democrat or Republican. And so when you start to pull back, you start to realize, oh, wait a second, all the people identifying as Republican, you forget all that. Underneath it, you can see them, oh, wait, that's the same one spirit that I am. Hmm. Okay. And then the people on the Democratic side or liberal side or whatever you want to call it, oh, wait a second. Yeah, they might be identifying as Democrats or left leaning or whatever it might be. But if you look beyond that, this is again the amazing, powerful thing with clairvoyance. You can see past kind of the bullshit and you can kind of really get to the heart of things and you can see, oh, wait, they're also the same one spirit. So you don't really see anymore that there's these two sides. You can if you want, you know. And it's hard not to in this world because it's very much in your face. And but yeah, well, you start to pull back and you kind of get centered, you get neutral, right? You're in the eye of the hurricane, and you see, oh, regardless of what side, you don't really see sides anymore because you can look, oh, the side here and the side there, actually they're the same. Underneath it all, you'll see that they're the same one spirit. So you start to really realize that judgment isn't really helping or serving anyone here, really. And you start to get neutral. You can start to see, I think, much more clearly. You start to see beyond all the judgments and even just all how people identify as, right? You can get past all that stuff, and you can really get down to the qualities of spirit. When we talk about lower emotional energies, and then some people talk about higher emotional energies, usually like the higher emotional energies, we're getting into the qualities of spirit, spiritual qualities. So when you get past all these judgments, you start to really see in every one, usually the same qualities. And you'll start to see things like love. You'll start to see things like courage, and passion. You'll start to see things like clarity and wisdom and certainty, and that sense of stillness and that peace and that joy and yeah, you'll see all these things. That sense of divinity, that divine grace in each of all of us. And that's what I'm interested in, really, is you kind of get kind of tired of the dramas of the world and kind of just take a step back and just kind of watch things unfold and start to look underneath all of the turmoil, all of the dramas that are occurring here. And this is one big drama, isn't it, really, on the planet? Many dramas kind of occurring within this kind of very big dramatic play. And so I'm really interested in kind of seeing underneath all of that, kind of underneath what's beyond the veil or the curtain and seeing the spiritual side of things. And you start to wake up, oh yeah, yeah, we're all the same one spirit. But this is something that we teach. We start it off in a basic meditation series, and it goes deeper in a year-long clairvoyant training, and even beyond that. But in a year-long clairvoyant training, you're learning to read yourself and other people as a clairvoyant. And when you're reading other people, you realize that we're all mirrors. And so you can basically see yourself in them. And sometimes it's easy to get lost and it's all about them. And yeah, you're giving a spiritual hello to that person, something to be aware of, but also something else to be aware of is that whatever you see in them, you too will have that same quality. And it could be as something as, oh, I'm seeing a blockage in them. And okay, you might have the same limitation you're holding on to. And then you get to see what's the solution? How do you navigate that and move beyond that and free yourself? And then also you see these wonderful qualities in that person, such as how I was talking earlier, like, oh, I see this powerful love inside yourself, or this courage, or this passion, or this very peaceful or joyous quality, or this amusement, or this wisdom, this creative energy, whatever it is. If you can see that in someone else, you have it within your own self as well. And and that's what I love about doing readings and being neutral, because you're stepping out of judgment. And when you go further down kind of the spiritual rabbit hole, kind of in your spiritual journey and your meditation practice, you're letting all these judgments go. From judging yourself and other people and the world and just everything between you and your higher self and beyond that, all the way down to source. And again, the more you get closer to that, weeding out all the lies and illusions out of your mind, you will start to see source very much more clearly. And yeah, you start to wake up and go, oh yeah, yeah, we are the same one spirit. And that's an amazing space to get to and be in.